councillors and staff to this meeting 19th of May 2025, and the meeting opens at 6 p.m. The public is advised that it is council policy to record the proceedings of meetings of council on digital media to assist in the preparation of minutes and to ensure that a true and accurate account of debate and discussion of meetings is available. This audio recording is authorised by the Local Government Meeting Procedures Regulations 2015. I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners and custodians of the land on which we meet today, the Tomagina people, and to pay our respect to those that have passed before us, their history and their culture. Item 1, record of attendance. We have no leave of absence previously approved. Moving on to item 2, 2.1, confirmation of minutes of the previous ordinary meeting. I ask the councillors to move this recommendation. Could I have a mover, please?
So moved.
Councillor Roberts, seconder, Councillor Bramage. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Because they must be identified now and agreed to at this point prior to taking a vote to adopt the minutes. If there are no amendments to this to these minutes, I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. Item 3, declarations of interest. Councillor and agenda item number. Are there any declarations of interest from the councillors, please? None this evening. Staff and agenda item. Are there any from the staff? None this evening. Moving on to council announcements and reports. Item 4.1, I have 2 announcements this evening. The first one is about Laura Jude Johnson, OAM. Local resident Laura Jude Johnson was recently presented with an Order of Australia Medal at Government House for her service to community and mental health and youth advocacy. After recognising that many people experience delays and a lack of treatment options when seeking help for mental health conditions, Laura Johnson decided to act. She started a petition to improve youth mental health resources in Tasmania's northwest. The petition sent to Parliament with 700 plus signatures highlights a mental health services crisis. Through her campaign, Laura has called for increased investment in the training of specialist mental health professionals, broader access to education, and improved facilities for treatment. Laura also created the community event Theirs, which stands for Talk, Hear and Help, Educate and Inform, Refer and Support. Its aim is to help people notice the signs of someone struggling so they can help. Her advocacy has impacted over 80,000 people, and it should be noted also that Laura Jude Johnson is probably one of the youngest OAM recipients in Tasmania. I'd like to also congratulate the Wynyard Wildcats' success at the US Worldwide Cheerleading Championships. This team, who have been crowned division champions on their recent trip to the worldwide competition in the United States. These are very young contestants. They are aged between 8 and 14. Their team took out the top prize in the Youth Novice Division at Infinity's Finals Cheerleading Competition in Orlando, an international event attracting teams from across the world. So we are very, very proud of that team and their achievement.
All done.
Moving on to item 4.2, there is a recommendation before you, councillors, that council notes the Mayor's communications. Could I have a mover for that? Councillor Roberts, Councillor Johnson, seconded. Are there any queries, questions, comments? Councillor Hyland.
Questions, if I may. A couple of Liberal Party election announcements, but I don't think we'll worry too much about those, but I just need a bit of info on the Labor Party one. I do believe that was the biosecurity one, is that right?
It was, through you, Mayor, it was a biodiversity. So 4 projects around the Wynyard area, Inglis River, Ballard Avenue, French's Road and Camp Creek.
Around 20k.
Yep, thanks. Just one more. Did we, did the staff and yourself, Madam Chair, at any stage invited both the Liberal and the two major parties to the council chambers and have a roundtable discussion? And I think we've done that most other years to try and put a bit of extra pressure on them or anything like that. Did that happen or?
We did have meetings with the candidates, primarily just between myself and the CEO, and determined what we would like. We emphasised quite strongly what we would like. However, like any political party, they decide what we're going to get. So,
Thank you. Yep.
Are there any further questions? No further questions. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. Item 4.3, reports by delegates. We have not received any from delegates. 4.4, notification of council workshops. The recommendation is that council notes the following workshops. They are listed there. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Roberts. Councillor Raw is seconded. Are there any queries, questions or comments regarding this motion, please?
I just quickly want to credit the presentation about Gorn Nuts. The work there has been incredible and long may it continue. And 10th anniversary, I believe, later this year.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any further comments from other councillors? If not, I'll put this motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. Item 5, public questions and statements. Public questions received in writing. We have not received any public questions without notice and public statements without notice. Can I have the name?
Dame Elphinston and Tim Crawford.
Okay. We have two this evening. Mr. Elphinston, you have a statement to make for us. Before you start, I'm going to read out what I read out at every meeting. The Council encourages community participation in its meetings through the opportunity for public questions and statements. Consistent with Council's core values, councillors and staff strive to ensure all people are treated with respect and integrity. We expect our residents and ratepayers to apply similar standards in their dealings with Council. As Mayor, it is my responsibility to maintain the orderly conduct of council meetings and to determine whether a question or statement is out of order due to the use of offensive, objectionable or defamatory expressions. I remind everyone that this council follows council meeting procedures and they are noted, and it should be noted that a maximum of 3 questions may be asked per person. Any parts to questions are considered questions. All questions to be asked before a response is provided. There is a time limit of 3 minutes per person to ask the questions. Once a question is answered, there is to be no debate on that question. Public statements are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes per person, and there is to be no questions or discussion related to a statement. I ask members of the public to show proper consideration and courtesy in their comments. We'll have them both. Thank you. So as I said, this evening we have two. We have Mr. Elphinston and Mr. Crawford. So, Mr. Elphinston, would you?
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to speak on our application for planning approval under the Tasmanian Planning Scheme for a private car parking garage located at 254 Port Road, Boat Harbour Beach. We understand if we reduce the footprint of the planned building, which can be done by removing one of the 5 garages and replacing the concrete balustrade with a light stainless steel tube fence and adding some additional landscaping, this would likely be acceptable and meet the discretionary solution for the planning scheme. This development will create 9 additional car parking spaces in Boat Harbour. We respectfully request the Council approve the application subject to us making these amendments to the plan and meeting any other requirements of the Waratah Wynyard Council and the planning team. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to this matter.
Thank you, Mr. Elphinston. Mr Crawford.
Thank you, Mayor. Is it acceptable if I read my statement and then
Yes, you may read your statement
and
first.
then ask questions?
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to make a statement regarding development application 175, one that Mr Elphinstone has just spoken about. I welcome the town planner's recommendations in responses to criteria P2 and P4. However, find that there is flaws in the report in relation to other matters which I wish to draw to your attention, and also wish to draw to your attention a correspondence I've had from the Minister for Parks concerning the sale of the Crown land. Firstly, in relation to performance criteria 3, I suggest to the Council that the application does cause unreasonable loss of amenity with virtually no setback, and at only 5 metres high, 320 square metres is roughly the bulk of an Olympic swimming pool, and totally out of character with Boat Harbour Beach. The application does not demonstrate compliance with performance criteria 3. Secondly, relating to the use classification. The planning assessment states on page 33, the permit application proposes a building to house private vehicles. Surely this is vehicle parking, noting the definition of vehicle parking under the scheme is use of land for the parking of motor vehicles, including single and multi-storey parks. The planning implies that there's a commercial use. However, the scheme makes no mention of differentiating vehicle parks for residential or commercial purposes. And in citing the Car Parks Super Proprietary Limited versus Launceston City Council Tascat case, this is a case that was determined on a previous planning scheme for Launceston Central Business Zone, not for a low-density residential zone. The association between 254 Port Road and the applicant's properties on Fenton Avenue, which are adjacent but not adjoining, indicates that an outbuilding classification is not right, and so the nearest use classification, which is vehicle parking, should be used. Again, I believe it's misguided to cite Winter versus Kingsbury in Tascat, which is a sewage treatment plant on a utility zone. And indeed, the maximum size of the outbuildings on that property was 80 square metres compared to 320 square metres of this application. Outbuildings include a garage, carport or shed under the scheme. Vehicle parking is prohibited, not discretionary, in low density zones.
Crawford, can I just remind you, you had 3 minutes. How much further are you going to go with this?
I have 2 more points to make, Madam Chair.
Very briefly.
The use of the residential term in the planning assessment lacks specificity, as this is a low density residential zone. I informed the Council on the 6th of May by email that I received correspondence from the Minister for Parks. That advice says that the decision to consider selling the land indicated there's formal access to the area from Fenton Crescent only, not from Port Road. And furthermore, as I stated in my objection, the application states there's currently 2 accesses for an existing dwelling. There's no existing dwelling, and there's no access currently from Port Road, which the development application proposes.
Thank you. Are you able to now ask your question, please, Mr Crawford?
My question, firstly, relates to a response from the Council that I received on, I'm not sure the date of the response. It's probably on or around the 6th of May. My correspondence to the Council was on the 6th of May. The response I received to that email was, quote, "This matter has now been referred to an external consultant to prepare the report for the Council meeting dated 19th of April. I'd like a copy of that advice so I can understand who it's from and what it says." Secondly, I wanted to ask the Council if they were aware of the fact that in determining whether or not sale of Crown land, the 117 square metre Crown land, was reasonable, whether Council had considered the advice from Minister for Parks that formal access to the area is from Fenton Crescent. And thirdly, I would like to ask the council what the policy for is in relation to notification of development applications, given that my property is less than 10 metres from the boundary of this development application, and I was not informed in writing by the council when I believe I should have been.
Thank you, Mr Crawford. We will take your question. Oh, okay.
Through you, Mayor, the consultant's report is essentially the planning report that has gone up to council. So that was referred to a qualified town planner to do up the report, which sometimes is done for staffing, various other issues. And then it's reviewed by the planning department before it goes up to council. But it's not a commentary on the merits of the application beyond the format that appears in the council agenda. There's a pro forma that's sent to them and the report's written and reviewed by the planning department. Regarding the Crown issue, if an application comes in from someone and it includes Crown consent, which this application required consent from Crown lands, then council's bound to accept that application if it's got Crown consent with it. Regarding the notification issues, the Land Use Planning and Approvals Act lists out how we're required to notify people, and that's limited to adjoining landowners, so landowners that share a boundary with the property. So neighbouring properties that are separated other than by perhaps, say, a minor thin strip of public walkway, but certainly if you're separated by a road, then you wouldn't receive in writing an adjoining landowner notice. So that's why we put a notice out on the property, in the paper and on council's website.
Thank you for that. And if I could just ask our Executive Officer to note that the Planning Authority opened at 6:07. Thank you. I'm going to move on to item 6.3, outbuilding shed located at 19B Tidal Mews, Wynyard. The recommendation is that Council, in accordance with Section 51 and Section 57 of the Land Use Planning and Approvals Act 1993 and the Tasmanian Planning Scheme Waratah Wynyard, grants approval for an outbuilding shed at 17B Tidal Mews, Wynyard, subject to the conditions that I listed. Could I have a mover for that motion, please?
So moved.
Councillor Roberts, could I have a seconder, please? Councillor Courtney. Councillor Roberts, do you wish to open the debate on this motion?
Just that it's in approval with in accordance with Section 51 and 57 of the Land Use Planning and Approvals Act 93, and therefore it meets the criteria, so I'm happy to approve it, absolutely.
Are there any councillors that wish to speak against the motion? Councillor Johnson.
I just have a question. Stating on shed size and all that in the area that it is, why does it say have to be, say, 14 metres by 7? And I get that, you know, the person who's building the shed needs the room and all that with that, but in height ways, and what I'm getting at is from the neighbouring vendor who's going to be building there, they're going to be stepping out of their house and looking into a 14 by 7 shed by nearly 4 metres high. Is that a restricting thing, or how does that work?
Through you, Mayor, I think the key point that's in the planning scheme is unreasonable loss of amenity. It's not about loss of amenity, it's whether it's unreasonable within the context of things we need to identify. Because it's adjacent to a vacant site and there's not an actual built dwelling on there, we look at the restriction on the development potential of the adjacent site because we don't know where the windows exactly are in an adjoining property. So the key thing that we consider, which is outlined in the report, is visual impact and bulk, but also impact on vacant land. And it's considered that there's sufficient space on the block to the south to develop it, which wouldn't have an unreasonable loss of amenity as a result of the shed. There isn't a hard cap on the size of shed you can have. There is for sheds on vacant lots. Indeed, you can't have sheds on vacant lots in the general residential zone purely because you're meant to have them associated with a dwelling. But in theory, you could apply for a 1,000 square metre shed if it met the planning performance criteria. There is no cap. It's just about whether it meets the performance criteria or not. And it was the recommendation of the planning department that in this specific instance, having regard to the matters identified in the planning scheme, it does meet that threshold.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
that. Does that clarify for you,
Yeah, no, it's just,
Councillor
yeah.
Johnson? So are you speaking against the motion or you?
No, I just wanted
Are there
clarification.
any further speakers to the motion? Speakers against? Councillor Roberts, do you wish to close this?
No, just happy with how it's gone.
I'm going to put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Carried unanimously. Item 6.4, private car park located at 254 Port Road, Boat Harbour Beach, DA 175/2024. The recommendation is that council, in accordance with section 51 and section 57 of the Land Use Planning and Approvals Act 1993 and the Tasmanian Planning Scheme Waratah Wynyard, refuses an application for development of a building to be used for private car parking at 254 Port Road, Boat Harbour Beach, on the following grounds. Excuse me, the application does not demonstrate compliance with clause 10.51(p)(2) of the Tasmanian Planning Scheme Waratah Wynyard. The application does not demonstrate that the building is compatible with the streetscape and character of development existing on established properties in the area. Point 2, the application does not demonstrate compliance with clause 10.5.1(p)(4) of the Tasmanian Planning Scheme Waratah Wynyard. The application does not demonstrate that the building is consistent with the existing site coverage on established properties in the area. Could I have a mover for that motion, please? Councillor Roberts. Could I have a seconder, please?
Yeah, I'll second.
Councillor Hyland has seconded the motion. Councillor Roberts, do you wish to open the debate on this motion,
Just
please?
to say that probably the planning authority part of this is the least favourite part for me about being on council, and you know, I love the vision that people have, and I love the growth in our region and the fact that people want to invest and renovate and build and expand, and to be honest, that's what we need here. You know, I definitely see the points for everyone that's here tonight, I really do, and I love Boat Harbour Beach myself. I understand the spirit of the place, and you know, I've been a member of the surf club down there when I was a kid, and I love it, and this is one of those ones where, again, as Councillor Johnson's just asked that question, sometimes it's pretty black and white as to what we can or cannot build or can or cannot do, as is in accordance with the Act, and I just really, we're going to have to refuse this one, but I do hope that there can be some compromise or some change into the plans and the landscaping, etc. I did read the notes, and I'm just hoping there can be some kind of compromise here, because we do really, you know, we want investment in our region. We want people to expand and grow, and obviously there's a lot of investment down at Boat Harbour, and Councillor Hyland and myself have the Boat Harbour Beach Master Plan as well, and we definitely want to see things happening down there and to keep in spirit with the place as well. So I'm really sorry, but yeah, I will move this one, and yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any speakers against this motion? Are there any further speakers for the motion? Councillor
I
Hyland.
may just make a comment, Madam Chair, and you've outlined all the important points in regard to why it's refused. I'll just make a point in relation to the landscaping issue, and I've been pretty strong on that from day dot, if you like. And I've even made reference to our planning department in the way that they provided all the skills, if you like, in regard to the houses that front onto the beach. You can drive down Port Road and you would not know that the majority of those houses are 3-storey, and it's all pretty much uniform all the way down, and that's the way that we really wanted to keep Boat Harbour. And listening to the comment from the applicant tonight, there's obviously some wriggle room where they can adjust a few things and come to a compromise, so hopefully that comes to fruition. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Hyland. Are there any further speakers for this motion? Councillor Bramage?
Thank you. Well, planning is hard for us fellas. It's one of the hardest issues we've got to make. But anyhow, that's what we're here for. Look, I'm going to have to support that motion that's in front of us, but I would encourage the two parties to get together somehow or through a mediator to try and negotiate what Mr. Elviston said that might be acceptable, and hopefully that will happen with a few changes, hopefully. But at this stage, going against planning advice, I don't know what to come up with the answers. So I can't go against it at this stage. But I do encourage Mr. Elviston and Mr. Crawford to get together somehow through consultants or whatever to try and come to something. That's all I can say about it.
Thank you, Councillor Bramich. Are there any further speakers, please, to this motion? If you would close, thank you, Councillor
I
Roberts.
just want to piggyback on what the back of Councillor Bramich is speaking about there and just say the representatives are very clear in here, stuff like the balustrade and probably the size, the scope of it and the boom gate, etc., landscaping, the setback. Hopefully those things can be addressed and this permit can be put back in, and maybe there is a compromise for some locals down there and some people. And we do want, we want everyone to achieve their dreams in our community, and we want people to have what they want and really live their dreams. So hopefully there's some compromise there, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. If there are no further speakers, I will put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. The Planning Authority is now closed at 6:26. Item 7, matters raised by councillors. 7.1, responses to councillor questions taken on notice from the previous meeting. 7.1.1, councillor Courtney, foreshore management plan, Sisters Beach. There is a response there from the relevant officer. 7.1.2, councillor Courtney, working with vulnerable people card. There is a response from the officer as well. And 7.1.3, councillor Highland, footpath construction materials. There is a response there for you as well. 7.1.4, the footpath behind the nursing home, councillor Ramage, you asked a question about that and an officer's response has been provided. Councillor Johnson, 7.1.5, Hog Street subdivision speed limit. The officers have provided a response. 7.1.6, Councillor Raw, annual plan actions. The response is provided for you. And 7.1.7, public artwork maintenance. The question, Councillor Raw, you have a response from the officer as well. 7.2, questions received in writing. None have been received at the time of putting this agenda together. 7.3, councillor questions without notice. Councillor Courtney.
Just in response to my responses in tonight's agenda, I note that the Premier has said that we're not going to introduce
This is a question.
Yep.
Okay.
So I note that he doesn't want to introduce the working with vulnerable card as local councils voted to, that we requested be legislated. And the basis for that is that we only have incidental contact. Could we please just find out from the Premier what exactly incidental contact is? How many times is considered? We work with the vulnerable, we go and meet them in their homes, we work in youth groups. We work with volunteers. Like, how many times do we have to be in contact with vulnerable people for it to not be incidental?
Through you, Mayor. My understanding is that they base the decision on the role of the councillor not being primarily to be in contact with vulnerable people. So that, as to your question about number of times, I can't answer that, but it was because the role of the councillor as defined is not primarily to be in contact with vulnerable people that they've come to the decision they have. Right or wrong?
Yeah, no, I understand that, but the basis of that refusal to introduce legislation that the local government sector has asked for is that it's an incidental occurrences. So I'd like to know what incidental is, how many times that is, because that's a pretty big decision to make, to overrule all of the councils who voted to bring in that legislation based on the fact that it's only that we don't work with them enough because it has to be more than incidental. So I'd just like to know how much incidental is.
Thank you for your question, and it will be it will be researched and by our CEO.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any further questions, please? Deputy Mayor Edwards.
I just wanted to ask down near St Owen, the footpath down and around the river track on the corner of Quiggin and Moore Street, the footpaths come out, but there's no like access ramp. Do we know if there's works happening for that?
Yeah, there's a scheduled footpath ramp there. The contractor's finished on site, and the footpath ramp will be undertaken by our staff.
Thank you for that. Are there any further questions, please, without notice?
Statement real quick.
Beg your pardon, sorry.
I've got a statement to make real quick if I can. If that's right, it's not a question per se.
We're at the council questions without
Well,
notice.
I'll follow a question then, and I'll say.
I'm asking the question first, and then
I'll ask the question first. And when the people from East Wynyard contacted me about their rubbish not being picked up, and then I asked the Director of Infrastructure and Development if he could follow up with the contractors, just to give him a razz, has the Director followed up on that by any chance?
Through you, Mayor, I have. I'll have to take it on notice to see a response for you.
Yeah, just let the public know we've followed up on it. Thank you.
for that. Any further questions, please? If there are no further questions, I'm moving on to item 8, which is notice of motion, and we haven't received any. Item 9, reports of officers and committees. 9.1, quarterly information report, infrastructure and development services. There is a recommendation before you, councillors. 4 points to that recommendation. The council notes the quarterly information report for the Infrastructure and Development Services Department as of the 31st of April 2025. The update on the sealed rural road shoulder improvement capital project, the attached Old Bass Highway safety review, and the concept right-hand turn facility from Old Bass Highway into the watershed access road. Could I have a mover for that motion, please? Councillor Roberts. Could I have a seconder, please? Deputy Mayor Edwards. Councillor Roberts, do you wish to open the debate on this?
I'll just state the same thing I always do, is there's so much in this quarterly information report, and down from the dogs registered to the plumbing orders issued. So I know we as councillors, I know the staff get asked a lot of questions about certain statistics, certain things, what's happening. I can assure the public that should they read these reports, they're quite detailed and comprehensive. There's photographs in there of the work we've done, work in progress. It'll tell anyone the amount of jobs we've actioned, how many have been completed, how many are ongoing, etc. I encourage everyone to read them. They are magnificent. As a councillor, they give myself a great oversight and the other councillors great oversight of everything that's going on, and the information is publicly available. So make sure you have a look.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Any further speakers? I endorse what you have said, Councillor Roberts. It is a very comprehensive report, and I acknowledge the council officer and that department for providing that information. So I'm going to put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Unanimously. 9.2, transparency policy. There is a recommendation before you, councillors, that council adopts the transparency policy as presented. Could I have a mover, please?
So moved.
Councillor
I'll
Courtney.
second that.
So Councillor Courtney moved and Deputy Mayor Edwards seconded the motion. Councillor Courtney, do you wish to speak to this motion?
Third time lucky, I'm going to say, with the transparency policy. So hopefully we've gone over it enough now in meetings to conclude that this is a responsible governance decision and that there's no cost associated. My understanding is that through you that we've won an award for transparency recently, that we're doing sort of really, really good in that area. We're pushing out more information than most councils. I know that we've been trying to be a progressive council in this area, and I think with our tenders, we're probably one of the most open councils in what we reveal in our tenders. I think we share everything but the price. And I know that this is an area that Mr Crawford was obviously active in, and that we I'm happy to say that under the new general manager, this is also an area that we are happy to be in. I think it's great that we've got it all over our website, that we've got transparency. We're willing to show transparency. Our actions show that we actually do that. So I think that it's a no-brainer that we bring a transparency policy in, and I'm glad that it's happened during my 10-year year on council, because this is one of the things that I really wanted in during my term. So I'm quite emotional to see this tonight come up for a third time, and I'm hoping that this time, fingers crossed, it gets through. Thanks very much for bringing this to us. I think it's a really, really good step for this council, and I think it shows leadership to other councils. Once again, it's an area that we're ahead of the forward on. So thank you.
Councillor Courtney. Are there any speakers against this motion, please? Councillor Johnson.
Yeah, this is one I've been stewing over for, quite a time since it's come out. So I'm going to read it out so I get it straight from the cuff rather than ad-libbing it. So here we go. I believe in good governance and transparency with a number of existing policies already in place. I question whether we truly need another policy to umbrella them all. In my view, the answer is no to the motion. Having served on the council for nearly 3 years now, I've seen firsthand that we already are operating in accordance with these transparent policies. So with that, I'm going to vote against.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson. Are there any? Councillor Roberts.
Did you want to speak?
Right, I'll let Mayor Dunham say who she sees.
I'm just waiting because we've got 4 first.
Okay. All right.
And then we went straight to
Deputy Mayor
against.
Edwards, if you would like to go first.
I'm just like, I've read it, and it's kind of overarching all the other policies. There's no implications in this transparency policy. There's no financial implications, and there are no risk implications as a result of this report. So I think that's, I don't know what could be holding people back. I just see that as the risk implications. We've had the workshops and everything, and it's just overarching all the others. So I'm happy to go in favour of it.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Edwards. Councillor Roberts.
I just really quickly, I have a long history with this council, on and off over many years. I started volunteering at this council at 8 years old. I did my work placement at this council at 16 years old, and I was 2 officers of the council here at 23 years old, and I was elected onto this council at 34 years old. And currently I've served nearly 3 years like Councillor Johnston, and I am incredibly proud to represent this council. I cannot speak highly enough and genuinely enough about the quality of individuals that operate within this organisation. I think we, pound for pound, are by far the best council in local government in Tasmania, and I'd argue that with anyone. The work that we've seen done, Councillor Courtney herself was an employee at council for nearly 10 years. We've seen some good work and probably some bad work done in that time, and to be where we're at now as a council, under the leadership of our Mayor and our new CEO especially, and I want to credit our new CEO for really taking the lead on this one too, and following up on this one for Councillor Courtney. And I want to credit Councillor Courtney as well. This transparency policy was a part of her platform for running for council. This is her second term, and credit to Councillor Courtney that the things that she's ran for as a platform, she's been tenaciously following up on. And I just really want to point out that as a council, it's something to come from a small town and be so innovative, and to really push forward and be really progressive and really look for the best ways to do things and look for best practice. And I really want to represent a council that really can lead from the front and doesn't actually have to be pushed or goaded into things by the state government. I think that our council shows great leadership when we actually take these initiatives and step forward into the future. And the truth be told is, I believe that the rest of the state won't be far behind us in local government. And to be honest, it's really good sometimes as a smaller council, regional council, to take the lead. So that's why I'm 100% behind this. I really believe in this, and I think as an organisation we do quite a good job of being transparent, and I don't think it harms us at all to actually be able to point to a singular document that can actually state in which ways we do so, and to make it tangible rather than buzzwords on our website. And we stand by that as a council. We've won awards for equity, and we believe in that equality, and we believe in opportunity, and we believe in openness and transparency. And I think it's our chance as councillors to take a stand for that, for our public. And as we've just seen with planning, that we are trying to reach amiable and amicable outcomes for all people in our community and make sure everyone has an opportunity, and that we're really open with everyone about that process to provide equity and procedural fairness. So I am 100% behind this, and I credit Councillor Courtney for pushing so hard at it, and I implore my fellow councillors to vote the same. Thank you very much.
Councillor Roberts. Are there any further speakers? Councillor Highland.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Chair. Well, at this stage, I'll be speaking against the motion. Just in the purpose, it says, just a query, a new transparency policy, a new, N-E-W, new. Does that sort of indicate that maybe our previous policies need to be rescinded so we can put a new policy in place, or can you give me a...
To our CEO, thank you.
Through you, Mayor, it perhaps shouldn't have had the word new in there because there isn't an old transparency policy, so a transparency policy. That is new. That's all, just wording.
I know. I'm just sort of wondering, and now the mover of the motion spent a couple of minutes and outlined 2 or 3 positives, which I appreciate, in regard to what council's done, in regard to transparency, and pointed to the fact that we'd won an award or some sort of an award. And it sort of brings me to ask the question, why are we doing what we're doing with this policy when we've been doing so well over all the years, and we're just committing to all our accessibility, accountability, engagement and integrity. We're making another commitment. It's sort of I'm asking myself a question, whether we've actually been doing the right thing all the way through, and whether the public think we've been doing the right thing. Now, I'll just go back to December 16th, 2024, when we dealt with the motion from the public, and I might add a very small minority group of the public. So I don't really think we're actually doing anything in regard to the public until such time as we get to what we agreed to. Well, the motion went 6-2 in favour, that we took some advice from the acting GM and the staff at that point in time, which informed us there was a pending local government review in regard to the Local Government Act, which is happening, I think, now, and there's paperwork on the way. And also is the local government reform process, 24 to 26. Now, the advice that we received then was, once all that had been done, it would be a good time for council to have a.
It's got nothing to do with this one. It
Just-
is right.
Just wait.
Point of order.
Okay, so you're making a point of order. Could you please
Well,
explain?
the conclusion in this one is that staff recommend that we do it. And he's talking about the last one where the staff recommended we didn't. So that one actually has nothing to do with this one because the conclusion's different this time. That's correct. I'm right.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
I'll accept that point of order. Okay, so moving on from those comments, Councillor Highland, do you have anything else to add?
Well, the fact that we'd made a decision to do all what we need to do is to go out to the community, and that was the whole,
Point of order,
the
we're
whole
here to make the
basis of
decision
that.
tonight. We haven't made the decision previously. We're here to make the decision tonight. Point of order.
Thank you. I'll accept that point of order. The decision is here for tonight and as it is written.
So if I could ask a question then.
Go right ahead.
So obviously the information that we received from the acting GM is not worth two hoots.
There's no question.
Is not worth two hoots.
There's no question.
Councillor Roberts, would you please refrain from your input and allow others to speak? So, Councillor Hyland.
Yeah, so I'm just asking the question then. The agenda item that we passed 6.2
Point of order.
on the
There's no questions across the table anyway.
on the information that, if I'm allowed, the information
That's the rules.
that we received from the acting general
Point of
manager
order.
at that
There's
time.
no questions across the floor.
Just hold, please, Councillor.
It's not matters raised by, it's not
Would you
councillor question
please
time.
just refrain from adding to it until we have
Every time
determined.
I've raised a question here, I've been told I'm not allowed to ask questions across the table, so I'm asking that the same rules
Councillor
apply.
Roberts, you have asked about a point of order and that is what we are discussing. I'm just asked, and you will not listen to the fact that we need to contain our discussion around that point of order, not anything else at this point. So,
Through you, Mayor, in presenting this policy, I did discuss with the acting general manager and review that information, and came to the conclusion after the workshop that there was no particular reason to delay, since we don't know quite how long the amendments to the legislation are going to take. We were originally told that it would be around June, but there have been no updates since, leading me to conclude that it will probably be September or later. And therefore, I recommended that we proceed now.
that is the recommendation of the CEO at this point.
So I suppose in summing up, the council is actually doing, the only thing that I can see out of this is that if the motion gets up, which it may, is to satisfy the whim of one councillor.
Point of order. You don't speak on behalf of the whole council, and to call out one councillor who ran on this on her platform as an agent.
Thank you. If you would please contain what you were saying. We're not going to start accusing anyone of anything at this point in time. Thank you. We're not going to start with the personal comments from anyone. From anyone. Councillor Roberts. Right. I'm now going to Councillor Raw, if you would like to.
I'd like to speak.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and when I looked as to this, is it for or against? I don't think what I'm going to say is for or against. So I don't know how it is sat in the note taking. But I'm not against a transparency policy, and I'm not against the principles and practices that surround transparency in our work. Transparency is openness, honesty, learning, asking questions, good judgment, high ethical standards, trusting and building respectful relationships, empathy and caring, to name just a few. So they lead to actions and processes that help us make decisions in the best interests of our community. But in this particular case, I've got questions that I would need answering or want answered before I could make my decision on this.
Point of order. We had a workshop. The questions were for the workshop, not for tonight.
Correct.
No, I think I can state why I'm uncomfortable in making a decision, and they're not questions that I'm asking to be answered.
Just hold, please. Show some respect for me and everyone else, and I'm saying that to all of you.
Councillor Raw was not intending to ask questions, she's just explaining herself, so I
Thank
So I'm
you.
explaining why I
accept that point of
find
order.
it difficult.
So
And
if
I
you explain
presume, yeah. So I presume these questions aren't going to be answered tonight. So on December the 16th, we moved a motion to say we would, and you know, I won't go through what we said we'd do. We said we'd do 4 things. So one question that doesn't sit comfortably with me now is how can we change a motion that was carried without rescinding or altering the motion? My second question is, where is the council?
Councillor Roberts, if you interrupt one more time, around this issue, please allow others to speak.
But that's the point of order, is to interject the speaking, Mayor. And the point is, they kept coming back to this meeting, the vote last time, everything, etc. last time.
if I could perhaps just interject,
if
that
you
the
would.
motions aren't contradictory or contrary.
You're not.
No. However, it is relevant background, so it's okay for it to be referred to.
Okay, yep.
Thank you.
So my second question is, by putting this policy forward, where is council currently not transparent? And remember, there are places and spaces that council can't go to be transparent in. The document that was asked for is an example that was firmly put in the place of you can't go there. Why and when do community perceive council as non-transparent? And do we have a good data set on that to say, right, this is important, that we have to move on it and do work on it? So they're my big questions. And my fourth one, or my fourth statement is, I don't believe anyone on staff at council would feel that they're not transparent, but when they're working with the community. But they do have a lens and guidelines and policies that they have to consider when they work.
Councillor Courtney.
We're not here tonight to discuss whether the community believe that we're transparent. We're not here to discuss the amount of statistics around us being transparent. We're here tonight to just say, will we bring in a policy that will cost us nothing, that just says this is what we're already doing. So we're not saying that they're not transparent. We're actually saying council are transparent. We're saying that council are doing the right thing, and we just want to put the policy in to say this is what you can hold us to account to. So it's not relevant.
I accept that point of order.
Yeah, that's valid, but let Councillor Raw have her finish her statement. Yeah.
Councillor Raw, could you finish? And I ask that there be no interjections so that Councillor Raw can finish what she was saying.
Yeah, that's fine. So I have looked far deeper into this to try and sort it out. And I think the critical thing here is how does council, including councillors, work with the community? And I tried to bring this up on December the 16th and have it included. But the communication engagement strategy that we brought in 24 last year has it all. It has everything that we need at the moment, and we're saying that we have those 6 policies. So if this motion gets up or approved, I think it's not a step to look at those key components, which we all do anyway. Have you read what the key components are? We do all those there. There won't be anything different from those key components. But if we look into this document, and I'm sure the council staff are implementing this document, as councillors here, we haven't, and we haven't done that yet. But I believe if we are serious as councillors, then moving into the implementation of this document would be seen as a priority. And I think if we had actually done that, we wouldn't need this transparency policy at the minute, because everything is in here. And it's actually even got a section on, with strategies underneath, on being sustainable and transparent. So that's the way we do it. So
Point of order.
I still don't know which way I'm going to vote, whether I'm a yes or a no.
Point of order.
But
Just a moment, are you nearly finished, councillor?
yeah, last
Thank
statement.
you.
I don't know whether I'm a yes or a no on this. I just believe it's the way we work with the community, and we need to focus on that and take it on board seriously. And I ask all councillors to go home and read this document tonight.
Thank you, councillor Raw.
Councillor Courtney can close.
Councillor Courtney.
Yeah, councillor Courtney, if you would please close the debate. Oh, councillor Bramage,
Thank you, Mayor.
are you speaking for or against the motion?
I'm speaking for the motion. The reason for speaking for the motion is that our staff have recommended that. And I'm not brave enough to speak against our staff because I'm not, know nothing much about it to speak against them. I understand we've got a transparency policy. The staff have recommended this, so I'm happy to go along with this. I know it's not going to please everybody, but I'm not here to please everybody. I'm here to try and do the right thing by the community.
You do that, councillor. You do that.
It's just a shame, for some reason, it's got to this argy-bargy. It's just a shame. But anyhow, that's the way it is. So I will be supporting the policy.
Thank you, councillor Bramage. Councillor Courtney, if you would like to sum up, please.
I would like to sum up. I'm also just going to correct two things while we're going. Councillor Raw, you repeatedly said that we need to work with the community, we need to go back to the community, we need to hear from the community. The community asked for this policy. Community asked for us to have a transparency policy. So that's what I'm doing. I'm listening to the community.
Councillor Raw, you cannot respond.
Whole community. Whole.
Point of order.
Point of order. Don't be disrespectful. I am deeply concerned that I have had to bring this to the table 3 times and that we still have 3 councillors saying, despite the fact that it'll cost nothing, despite the fact that the community asked for it, despite the fact that the staff have recommended it, despite the fact that we're going to bring in a transparency policy anyway, despite the fact that we're already doing it, we're still here arguing about having a transparency policy. I am deeply concerned at the effort we have to go through to just introduce a policy that costs nothing to say this is what we are already doing. It costs nothing, the community asked for it. Why do we seem to be allergic to having a transparency policy? Is it because I put it up or is it because you don't want transparency? What is the issue here? I hope that tonight the councillors make the right decision and they vote on the facts that are in front of them, not on who put the motion up, not on the fact that they don't feel like we've consulted with the community enough, but that this is costing us nothing. It has been brought to the council 3 times, it has been requested by the community, and it is merely giving us a policy that says this is the standard that we are happy to say that we will commit to. That is purely what it is. Thank you for hearing me out.
Thank you. That is almost the end of the matter, and I'm going to call for a division. Could I ask those who are in favour of the motion to please raise their hands? Deputy Mayor Edwards, Councillor Bramage, Councillor Courtney, Councillor Roberts and myself. Those against? Councillor Raw, Councillor Hyland and Councillor Johnson. The motion is passed. And at this point, I'm going to remind, I beg your pardon?
I was just going to say, hopefully that-
At this point, I'm going to remind everyone, please do not interject unnecessarily. It is not fair on me as the chair having to control a meeting with such interjections. Moving on to item 9.3, policy review, tree management policy and guidelines. The recommendation before you councillors is that council adopts the tree management policy and guidelines as presented. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Roberts. Deputy Mayor Edwards seconded the motion. Councillor Roberts, do you wish to speak to this motion?
Just quickly, that these policy reviews, obviously it's what we do, and I'm glad we do it, and hopefully we can just keep going through these policies and just move on. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Does anyone else have anything to add for this particular motion? If not, I'm going to put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. Item 9.4, Policy Review, Environmental Sustainability Policy. There is a recommendation before you, councillors, that council adopts the Environmental Sustainability Policy as presented. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Roberts? And Councillor Courtney seconded the motion. Councillor Roberts, do you wish to speak to this motion?
Just credit everyone involved with everything to do with sustainability and environment in our council and the community and the groups, especially the SEEP committee, and just the great work that's happening in this building. I cannot credit everyone enough. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any further speakers to this motion? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 9.5, Policy Review related to Party Transactions Policy. The recommendation before you, councillors, is that council adopts the revised related party transactions policy as presented. Could I have a mover for that motion, please? Councillor Roberts. Councillor Courtney seconded. Councillor Roberts, do you wish to speak to this motion?
Absolutely not.
Are there any other speakers to this motion? If not, I will put that motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carried unanimously. 9.6, FOGO and Recyclables Contract Update. There is a recommendation before you, council, that council notes the following achievements in the delivery of the FOGO and Recyclables contract to date. Number 1 is diversion of 1,297 tonnes of material from landfill as a result of the curbside collection contracts. Item 2 is savings of $58,209 in state waste levy between July 24 and February 25. And before I ask for someone to move, I think that this is an absolute phenomenal result. Could I have a mover for that motion, please? Councillor Roberts. Councillor Johnson seconded. Councillor Roberts, do you wish to speak?
Just real quickly, I know there might have been some disruption, obviously, for people and a change of routine because of the size of the bins, etc. If you look at these numbers, you can see there's a reasoning why we have done it and the reason behind it. As much as it might be difficult for members of our municipal region, just know that we are trying to look out for their back pocket in regards to rates and such, because that state waste levy would have been an absolute killer for the average household in our region. And whilst it might not be perfect, just know that the councils on the coast have done their best to mitigate that cost for your average household. And also we're achieving great environmental results. So as difficult as it may be, it's actually the numbers and the anecdotal evidence are actually pointing that it's quite effective and working. So I know there's a few things still to iron out in regards to my question before as well, and just things like that. But if we can get through that, I'm sure there's sunny days on the other side of that. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Councillor Bramage.
Thanks, Mayor. I just got a question, if I may. Is there any way we can put some of this information on our rate notice that goes out under rubbish or garbage to make the public aware of what they're trying to save? Or what we're saving for them?
Yeah, through you, Mayor. The way probably to do that through our rates notices would be in the pamphlets that we send out with the rates notice. We normally do sort of a rates brochure and then a bit of information. So we could certainly look at putting something in there around some of those stats and what impact that's had.
Yep. Thank you. With the voting.
Thank you for that. Thank you, Councillor Bramage. It is an excellent idea, and our community does need to be informed or updated, however we want to look at it. Are there any further speakers to this motion? If not, I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 9.7, Financial Report for the period ended the 30th of April. The recommendation before you, councillors, is that council notes the financial report for the period ended 30th of April 2025. Could I have a mover for that motion? Deputy Mayor Edwards moved. Sorry, who was second? Councillor Courtney. Deputy Mayor Edwards, do you wish to discuss anything from this report?
Yeah, it's just a great report and it always looks really good when you go over it and everything. On page 118, I just had a question there. Community facilities, and it had an unfavourable variance of 139,000 higher than budgeted, and it's mainly in relation to the Athenham Hall. Can we have a reason why, please?
Through you, Mayor, I'll probably need to take that one notice and just understand the reasoning why the capital project's been gone over and provide a response. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Excuse me. Please do not interject.
Yeah, through you, Mayor, I can probably answer that one if you like. Sorry, I missed the cue. I was finding the page. It's to do with the windows in the Athenham Hall. Originally, some minor repairs were conceived that they were found to be unrepairable. So off-site now, a heritage builder is actually having to manufacture new window sashes to make those weatherproof. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any further comments regarding this financial report?
No, that's what I was going to tell Mitch that.
Councillor Roberts, please, no more interjections. It is against the rules. I didn't make them. I'm going to put this motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 9.8, Senior Management Report. The recommendation is that Council notes the Senior Management Report. Could I have a mover for this motion, please? Councillor Roberts. Could I have a seconder? Deputy Mayor Edwards. Councillor Roberts, do you wish to identify anything for discussion in this report?
Just the same thing I always say. Just again, I cannot encourage the public enough to read these reports. The information is detailed and comprehensive, and I just encourage everyone to have a look. Thank you.
Are there any further discussions or comments regarding this particular motion? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 9.9, minutes of other bodies. 9.9.1, notes of other bodies. The Waratah Community Board held on the 4th of April 2025. The recommendation is that Council receives and notes the Waratah Community Board meeting held on Friday the 4th of April 2025. Could I have a mover for that motion, please?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Sorry, Councillor Highland.
I'll second that.
And Deputy Mayor Edwards seconded that. Councillor Highland, do you wish to speak
No,
to
thanks,
this?
Madam Chair.
Are there any other speakers? Deputy Mayor Edwards.
I just wanted to say, not on the actual report, but I attended that because we had a community conversations down there that day, and I just like the community that are part of the board. It's ran right to the T and very professional and respectful around it as they're running the meeting. So yeah, it's a beautiful group.
Thank you for that positive feedback, Deputy Mayor Edwards. Are there any further speakers to this motion? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 9.9.2, minutes of other bodies and committees, Sustainability and Environmental Advisory Panel held on the 15th of April 2025. There are two recommendations before you, councillors. The Council notes the unconfirmed minutes of the Sustainability and Environmental Advisory Panel SEEP meeting held on the 15th of April 2025 and adopts the food security policy as recommended by SEEP. Could I have a mover for that motion, please?
So moved.
Councillor Courtney moved. Could I have a seconder, please? Councillor Roberts seconded. Councillor Courtney, do you wish to speak to this motion?
No, I'll just say very quickly, thank you very much for the CAP group. They've done an incredible job in their time in the committee, and hopefully we can just put this motion through as is.
Thank you. Are there any further speakers to this motion? Deputy Mayor.
Just to note that it's open now, that we need new people to come on board if they think that they are a good fit on the SEEP group. So yeah, if they look on the council website, they should find where they need to go to put in an application.
About, more members, new members. Okay, thank you for reminding us of that. Are there any further speakers to this motion?
Can I just ask a clarification question? Is that just for community members, or is it's just the community members that go up to be replaced? Okay.
Thank you for that question, Councillor Raw. Are there any further speakers to this motion? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Carried unanimous. Item 10, matters proposed for consideration in a closed meeting. The recommendation is that the council resolves by an absolute majority that the matters listed below be considered in closed meeting. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Johnson. Could I have a seconder, please? Councillor Bramage. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. Item 11 is closure of the meeting to the public. That the council resolves by an absolute majority that go into closed meeting to consider the following matters at 7:10 p.m. Could I have a mover, please?
So moved.
Sorry, was that Councillor Courtney?
I'll second it.
Moved Councillor Courtney, seconded Councillor Roberts. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously.